The middle of things generally contain the best bits. Not a gastrointestinal tract, admittedly, or an undetonated thermonuclear device, but other things. A chocolate eclair, for example, has excellent custardy bits in its middle, inside of which, interestingly, are still more custardy bits. It's the same with the book Writing Wrongly. Its middle bits are its best, though with less custard. This is principally because the beginning of the book tends to leave one wanting, whereas the end leaves one impaired. Its middle bits, however, have several thousand brilliantly chosen words that renders the book's eventual anticlimax to become the sort of thing that antidepressants were originally invented for. Writing Wrongly is a Sortabiography. It's both a true story and a serious cry for help. It is the story of one man against the entire world, or, more specifically, one writer against the entire publishing industry. Writing Wrongly is based on events following a rejection letter from a publisher suggesting that my submitted manuscript was so utterly dreadful that I ought to stop living. When I refused to, I was subsequently persecuted, prosecuted, and bankrupted. Fortunately, my congenital, non-existent self-esteem afforded a remarkable resilience, which, after a decade of therapy and an unfortunate political assassination in one of the lesser-known Balkan states, has resulted in this book. So read on until the appalling punctuation makes doing so untenable, and enjoy this delightful middle bit from a book that's universally regarded as being distinctly saggy at both ends. Chapter 13. Apartment 30. Janice Montbray, a young newspaper journalist, has decided to help Thomas Corfield, an incomplete wanker, raise funds to get his book edited via a crowdfunding project. In addition, she's also convinced Malcolm Shroff-Faith, editor-in-chief of the Guardian newspaper, a publication at the forefront of belittling Thomas's writing, to host a project launch party. Although Thomas is reluctant to attend, Janice has convinced him that it's an opportunity to prove to everyone that he's not as dreadful as the media's making him out to be. However, having no friends, Thomas is not comfortable in social situations at the very best of times. As a result, it's not long before this dinner party turns out to be the very worst of them. Now, read on. "Do I really have to go through with this?" Thomas asked. He and Janice stepped out of a lift into a lavish corridor. It was lined with large ornamental plants in gilded pots and had the sort of carpet one is reluctant to step on for legal reasons. "Yes," said Janice, "you do. This is all done for your benefit, and you should be grateful it's being thrown by someone like Malcolm. I hate parties. You won't hate this one. How do you know? We haven't even got to it yet." "Exactly. Now shut up and look for number 30. Thomas grumbled about 30 being his unlucky number and looked at the doors they passed, hoping whoever designed the place had 30 as their unlucky number also, and omitted it from the floor plan altogether. Judging by the quality of the corridor, the apartments sprouting off it were also the sort one would be reluctant to enter, and have chrome refrigerators with digital screens that automatically ordered low-fat yogurt, and matching chrome microwaves that spoke French instead of pinging. "Why French, anyway?" asked Thomas. "What? Why does it have to be French? Why not a nice generic musical motif?" "What are you talking about?" "The microwaves." Janice stopped and looked at him. "I don't speak French," Thomas said. "Frankly, I'd feel intimidated if a microwave started blurting it at me." Janice stared. "And it would be a woman," he said. "I bet you this guy's microwave is female." "Are you trying to be peculiar?" Janice asked, folding her arms. "Not particularly. I'm simply asking why posh microwaves have to speak French." "Is this an attempt to be left behind, Thomas? Because it's not going to work. You can act as bizarre as you like all evening. You can alienate as many people as you desire. But do not imagine you are getting out of this. You are going to this party. You will thank Malcolm for agreeing to host it, and you will be on your best behaviour if you want any chance of your books being read, as opposed to being used to prop up wonky tables. Is that understood?" "Do you know what I dislike only marginally more than parties?" Janice groaned and continued searching for 30. "The people attending them." "These people are nice, Thomas. I understand that most people you come across are trying to take out injunctions against you, or pelt me with eggs, Or pelt you with eggs, yes, but you have to realise that doesn't reflect the whole world. Not everyone hates you. Oh, really? Well, I have a legally induced bankruptcy that proves otherwise. She turned to him. You've had a tough time, Thomas, I know. When an entire industry is throwing injunctions at you, it's hard not to take it personally. But you've got to rise above it. You have to believe that things are going to get better. They can hardly get much worse, Janice. Exactly. And it starts this evening. It starts now. Why now specifically? She indicated a door with 30 on it. Thomas looked at it, and then the bottle he carried. Can I drink most of this before we go in? I thought you didn't drink. I don't, but I'm thinking of starting almost immediately. She pressed a bell. You won't need to, I promise. Just, I don't know, try and pull yourself together, just for one evening, and don't drink too much. This is me pulled together, Thomas said. I'm not crying and I'm wearing clothes. Janice sighed. Then just do your best to keep them on. What if it turns out to be that sort of party? It won't. Malcolm's a great guy. He knows everybody in the journalist world, The Guardian included, so they're hardly going to start shagging each other lest others take note. It's not the note-taking that concerns me. This is an opportunity to network, Thomas, to tell your side of the story to those who can report it. It gives you a voice against the publishing industry. It gives you a chance. Who knows? The tides may turn after this evening. If you can charm them with your idiosyncrasies, perhaps the papers will start portraying you as being misrepresented rather than a talentless, useless waste of space. Thomas stared. My What idiosyncrasies? Well, she shrugged. You know. Thomas shook his head. No, I don't. Hence the question. Well, you are a bit odd. Odd? Yes. Peculiar. Peculiar? She turned to him. You are strange, Thomas. Not in a scary, he's going to rip out my insides and cook them sort of way. Just odd. Odd? Are you going to repeat everything I say? Well, it seems prudent considering I don't understand any of it. She frowned. You know what I mean. You have single-handedly turned the entire literary world against you. That is particularly odd, don't you think? Not when you consider my writing. After another sigh, she said, Don't drink the bottle, don't insult anyone, thank Malcolm, and enjoy yourself. The door was answered by a large man wearing expensive clothes and smelling of incense. He had a glass and a smile which went well together. Janice, darling! He beamed, before leaning forward to kiss her several times, missed on each attempt, and accosted the air around her ears instead. Hello, Malcolm. This is Thomas. An eyebrow arched, although the smile remained. Is it indeed? Well, Thomas, you are most welcome. I hope you enjoy our little soiree tonight, as it is apparently in your honour. He held out a hand. Thomas took it, disappointed it wasn't the one holding the glass. Behind him there was a large tower of hi-fi equipment with flashing lights, around which some people were jumping, as though being electrocuted by both. You like the music? Malcolm asked him. Music? Yes, playing on the hi-fi. Oh, is that music? Thomas asked. I thought your cat was being tasered. Janice cringed and Malcolm laughed. It's European trash pop, he explained. French, is it? Like your microwave. What? Is it French? I don't think so, no. It's from a gig I did a story on recently in Berlin, a new underground movement of digital experimentation. They send me all their new stuff. Now, it should be. It should be what? Underground. May we get a drink? Janice tried, pulling Thomas into the apartment. Of course, darling. Please, both of you, make yourself at home. Well, that might be difficult, said Thomas, because apparently I'm not supposed to take my clothes off. Malcolm blinked at him, and Janice offered an apologetic smile before the door rang again. The apartment was large and high, and so open-planned it appeared to be undergoing an autopsy. It had a large bar along one end, which was very popular, and toward it Janice dragged him. Why aren't there any rooms? Thomas asked, staring at its design. It's as though they couldn't be bothered with walls at all. What are you doing? She hissed. I'm just observing the design features of modern, trendy apartments. No, I mean about saying those stupid things. What stupid things? To Malcolm, just then. I was just making conversation, Thomas said. That wasn't conversation, that was insult. I don't know what you mean. 5 seconds after meeting Malcolm, you criticised his music, suggested he bury it, and then mentioned tasering his cat. Doesn't he have a cat? That's irrelevant. You insulted him. That's insult. Yes, that's insult. Thomas blinked. This may be the longest night of your life, Janice. She sighed, and they waited in line. Because the bar was as popular as Janice, it wasn't long before she was accosted again, with more bouts of ear proximity kissing. This time, however, she was far less assured. Her hand went to her hair and fiddled, and she didn't introduce Thomas to any of them. Excellent piece you did on the Minister for Stallamere, a man was saying. His bollocks must have been blue after that. Did you get any response from their office? Just the usual threats of slander, Janice said, but nothing about his bollocks. Serves him right for misappropriating funds, then. She fiddled with her hair, while Thomas smiled generically. Tell me, a woman asked her, how have things been in features? I heard Carrie's thinking of moving on, and they're looking for a new editor. She's gone to Biscay, as I understand it, the man said. And fair play, too. Carrie's talented, certainly, and has done wonders for your lot, though you, Janice, are responsible for all its charm. Janice smiled awkwardly. If they're going to be looking, the woman said, perhaps you might let me know the moment you hear. I'd be keen to apply. You're not happy at the Guardian? The man asked, surprised. Who's ever happy at the Guardian? You don't like the Guardian? Asked Thomas, keen for involvement in normality. Their blinks suggested they did not. Oh, I'm so glad, because I think it's shit. Really? Yes, absolutely. It's complete shit, bollocks, wank, spelt with capitals and very badly. They stared at him, and then at Janice. This is Thomas, she said. He's a friend. So can we bitch about the Guardian all evening? Thomas asked, offering his hand to both of them. It was taken as though having been used suspiciously. Well, some of us work there, the man said, looking at Janice in puzzlement. So the comment was made as a sort of in-joke rather than literally. But we can bitch about it? Oh, this will be a night to remember. Here's to Carrie and her flee from shit. If I hear anything, I'll let you know, Janice said, wondering how much longer the line might remain one. She needed a drink, several in fact, and of increasing alcoholic strength.